Hey, my name is Bruce Gilson, and today's video is all about the Blackmagic Micro Studio Camera 4K G2. Woo, try to say that without breathing. I'm so glad you joined us today. We are starting a brand new series of unboxing videos in our brand new studio. And we're super excited that you've decided to join us for this inaugural video. It might be the best one we ever do. Who knows, maybe we'll get better over time. But one thing that's gonna help us is the Micro Studio Camera 4K G2. So we're gonna start this video off with an overhead camera, and then we're gonna switch to this camera. But before we can switch to this camera, we wanna unbox it with you, so let's jump right in. All right, so if you're not familiar with Blackmagic, and if you're not familiar with this particular camera, Blackmagic, they have really dominated the market in trying to create stuff at a really affordable price point that has tons of potential. And I'm gonna say potential because this particular product really speaks to the potential that it could have because it's a minimalistic idea. And that's a lot of what Blackmagic has done is they've created things that are really powerful. They can be added to, they can do a lot of additional things, but sometimes you have to add stuff to it. And that's really what this camera is all about. You're not gonna get all the fuss and frills and everything, you're just gonna get the body. So let's take a look here. Blackmagic, their marketing is always good on their packaging, lots of branding on their packaging. When I open up here, there's some stickers on the inside, so if you like to brand it, I have a road case, so I often put stickers on my road case. Documentation on how you're gonna access the software, what website you need to go to, stuff like that. Little flap here on the side, and it comes with the power adapter. Let's note that the power adapter is almost the same size as the camera. And that's one of the super cool things about this camera is really the small form factor that is the Micro Studio 4K G2. I mean, it is just a very, very simple camera body. Now on this camera body, you've got a couple of things to note. This is where your lens will go. There's a factory lens cap. So this is micro 4/3 is the connector for your lenses. So when you think about the lens that you want to get, you need to make sure you're getting a micro 4/3 lens. We've got a little mount up here, if you're gonna mount a light or something like that to it, accessories. There's also gonna be mounting screws on the bottom to connect it to a tripod plate or anything. Some of the connections that we have on the side, these are actually micro SDI, doesn't come with the cable. So if you're gonna utilize the SDI ports on the camera itself, make sure you're getting micro SDI connectors to connect that. You have a SDI in and SDI out. You got an 1/8 inch microphone jack. Another thing to note, there is actually built-in stereo microphones on the camera itself. So you can just use the native audio that's gonna be coming straight to the camera. If we turn the camera to the other side, we've got our HDMI port, we've got USB-C, and we have the power port. One of the kind of cool things about this USB-C port, it is how you can access firmware and stuff like that on the camera, control software and things. It also, if you put a Ethernet adapter, USB-C to RJ45 Ethernet adapter, you can control this over the network through that adapter. So that's kind of a cool thing they've added. Pretty minimalistic on the buttons. There's a menu button. We'll get into the menu button in a second. There is a physical record button right there that you can push. There's some toggle buttons to get through your menu and then to power it on. This really is a commitment to Blackmagic's minimalistic design because inside of here you have a large 4K sensor and dual native ISO. So it's 400 and 3200, which means that you've got one that's great for studio lighting and you have another one for low light levels. Also built into this small form factor is 13 stops of dynamic range. But here's the sacrifice. There's no monitor, there's no screen, there's no built-in way to see what's coming out of this camera. It has to be hooked up to an external monitor device. So instead of giving you a monitor on the back of it, what they've done is they've created your battery port on the back so that you can hook up an external battery and run this thing on battery, or you can run it via its power cable and have it plugged in. So here's what we're gonna do next. We're gonna do a little bit of a set change. We're gonna hook this up to our in-studio monitor. We're gonna let you see what it looks like here inside the studio. And then we're also gonna replace it a little bit later with our overhead camera. So you're gonna get to see how this thing operates in a couple different case usage, and that's right now. All right, so our first look here is we're coming out of the HDMI port and we're going off to our in-studio monitor here. And a couple things to note, we've got our on-screen display. If you ever see anything that says OSD that's on-screen display. So our OSD is up right now and we've got, you know, information of what the settings are of the camera that are coming up there, what the white balance is. We've got, you can see that my audio is going through because of the onboard microphones on the camera. That audio is also embedded. So it's sending down the HDMI line. It's sending it off to our television. We had to mute the TV to make sure that it's not causing any feedback. But if you were wondering, it embeds that audio on that video signal. And so then I've got my menu button right here. And if I select on the menu button, you can see that I can kind of toggle through some of my different options on what I want it to look like. So if I don't like my OSD, I can do my HDMI to be the clean feed, which is what I am gonna do when we mount it up above. So let's go ahead and change that. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna actually hit the set button first. Then now we're on top of that. I'm gonna hit set again. And now that it's on there again, that means HDMI is just gonna be a clean feed and I can hit monitor. I could change, different audio settings. I could change what my storage is gonna be set up to, English. Anyways, we don't need to get through the entire menu. Just make sure that you're paying attention to the manual online if you can't find a setting, but Blackmagic does a really good job of just making everything nice and simple. So our main purpose, we wanted to get rid of that on-screen display. So now I've gotten rid of it. I'm gonna hit menu and now we're back and we don't have the OSD set up. Now, let's see it up above. Okay, so now we have the camera set up as our overhead camera looking at our desk. And we also hooked it up right next to our GoPro so we can do a little bit of A/B testing. You can get a sense for how the two cameras look compared to each other. Keep in mind that the Blackmagic, it is a 4K sensor, a large sensor comparative to the GoPro. It also has a nice lens attached to it. The form factor of the body is not all that different. The big difference is the size of the lens that you're adding to the body itself. So that's a little bit between those two products. Now, I've been talking about how are we using it? What's our purpose behind it? But I want you to imagine, how would you use it? What would be the use case in your workflow that might make sense for you to have this camera? We're deploying this camera with the client next week, and they're gonna be using two of them as PTZ cameras. We're adding them onto a motorized head, we're bringing in our cables, we're giving them options for control, and then we're gonna take that back to a control room, and then they're gonna have PTZ control, which is kind of a really unique way to use this particular form factor that is so small, but has so many different options in order to run it. So think about that in your workflow. A couple of other things to note here in our studio, we've got everything Blackmagic. So we've got Blackmagic cameras as camera 1 and camera 2, and now our overhead camera, and we can control that in the software, in the ATEM control software, because it's all going back to a Blackmagic switcher. So inside the software now we've got our overhead camera, and we can begin to make adjustments to our overhead camera through the software and really kind of dial in those finer details. If you don't have a Blackmagic switcher, that's okay. You can still access that through the menu, or you can plug into the USB port, dial in the camera exactly the way you want it to look, unplug, and then go back out into the field, okay? Now we've already mounted our camera, but I mentioned earlier that the outputs for the SDI are actually like micro or mini SDI cable. Blackmagic does make adapters for that, but the adapters do not come with the camera, so you need to buy those separately. And what that looks like is it's got the little micro or mini adapter on this side, and then it has the male side on this side, so that when you put this on, you've got a little whip, and then you can plug in your SDI connectors. You need 2 of them for in and out, or 1 for each, I should say. All right, very cool. You know, if I had to think about what's the, good parts about this camera, what's the maybe negative parts about this camera, let me say it really is case dependent. It's dependent on how you're gonna use the camera. And if you're looking for a camera that is really a one and done, it has tons of versatility, it's all inside one package, this probably isn't it, because this camera really needs to be built into a system. It needs to be designed around. And so that's kind of the really cool part about it, is that if you're, maybe you already have a rig, or maybe you're gonna be building your first rig and you're thinking, okay, what's the main sensor that I want to have around my rig? What's the form factor that I want? And you want something that's small, but has tons of add-on capability, then maybe this is the right camera for you. So just imagine for yourself, what are you gonna use it for? And then don't be disappointed if you want it to have all the gadgets in the world, because this isn't it. This is just a camera that's gonna be a great, simple body that then you can put pieces around to complete the system. Another important note about this is if you're like wanting to build a run and gun camera, this only records to an external USB-C hard drive. If you're sending it off somewhere to get it recorded, it's great. In the studio setup for us, we're recording it off in our video switcher, it's perfect. If you're gonna put something that's shoulder mounted, you want something that you can carry along with you and then you can point and shoot, it doesn't have internal media that you can record to. So make sure you're thinking about that as you're building out this kit. So if you've decided that the Blackmagic Micro Studio Camera 4K G2 is the right camera for you, Blackmagic sells this camera for $995. And so you can find it at a lot of retail places online. $995 is where you can get it. And that's what we need to sell it for, is $995. But I've got a discount code where I'm gonna give you money to help you buy your first G2 camera. The discount code is Bruce Cash Micro G2. That's Bruce Cash Micro G2. You go to the description, the link inside the description, and you follow that. It's gonna take you to our online store. You add it to the cart. When you get to the cart, put in the discount code, and I'm gonna give you $50 off, all right? But that's only good for the first 20 people that buy one. So make sure that you go ahead and take advantage of that now. Now, I do wanna say that, let's be honest, I'm not that popular. If you're watching this video, it's been a long time. This video has been up for 6+ months. Go ahead and try it out. Maybe you're gonna get lucky and you're gonna be one of the first 20 people. But that's a great reason why you need to make sure that you like and you subscribe. And if you've got a question, put it in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you. We're gonna be doing lots of unboxing videos coming up, and it's gonna be about professional AV. We're gonna be doing lights, audio, video, anything in the audio-visual integration event world. So make sure that you stay tuned and find out more. And I don't know what I'm supposed to say and how I'm supposed to get out of this video, and I'm stuck in a loop, and it's a word loop, and it just keeps going and going.